Hello, my name is Zach Munch, and this is my interview integration midterm presentation for EDPS 315 in the distance learning section of the class. The important lessons that were learned in this class and then also highlighted as very important by Jesse Eckhorn, who was the person who I interviewed, were the importance in building your relationships with coworkers, being able to assess the team environment, and the importance of being able to self-reflect. So the key takeaways from my interview with Jesse on the topic of building relationships is that nothing can get done in your office without trust between coworkers. If a team doesn't have trust between the people who are in that team's not going to be able to work efficiently. You're going to get people headbutting each other, people not willing to collaborate with each other, and overall just you're not going to make progress on that project, and it's going to stall out, and you're going to be unsuccessful. Um, Jesse quoted me that having trust between people in the office, it's what actually makes stuff get done in the office, is that trust. He also highlighted the importance that people are what make an organization or company successful. If you don't have good people at a company you're working at, it's not going to be a good company. People are really the heart and soul of a business, and you need to make sure that all of the people who you have working for you are the best that they can be. He highlighted this by that you should always be looking to build the skills of the team you're working on, and you also should always be planning for the future. He highlighted this as succession planning, so he's always planning on who is going to replace him in his role when he moves on. And he wants to make sure that the people who he selects to replace him are going to have the necessary skills they need to successfully replace him. So this involves having people get trained, talking with people to make sure they're getting the necessary skills. He also highlighted how that trust is a very valuable commodity that you need to accumulate. It's almost like money. You gotta gather it up so that you can have a large bank of that trust in order to cash in on when you're talking to people. And he also highlighted that that bank of trust can be lost very quickly if you break somebody's trust. It can evaporate, it can disappear. But it also takes a very long time to gather that large amount of trust in the first place. So you've always got to be careful, and you've got to make sure that you're not breaking people's trust in you. Jesse also highlighted the importance of making yourself available to your team. To build that trust in your team needs to be able to talk to you. They need to be able to come with you to questions. He's highlighted how incredibly important it is for people in the office to be comfortable with coming to you or other senior engineers to be able to ask their questions. That's how younger engineers learn from senior engineers is they ask questions and then they gain the knowledge they need in order to do their job. It's vital that you have that. Um, and then you also so you can make people feel comfortable with coming to talk to you by getting to know your coworkers and team members. He highlighted the importance of having one-on-one meetings weekly with people, as that gives you an opportunity outside of a larger meeting to be more intimate. You get to talk to people about what they're doing over the weekend, what are their favorite hobbies, what are their goals, things like that. You become more than just a boss or a coworker, become a friend. For the second lesson of assessing the environment, that's going to be vitally important for my future career. Jesse highlighted that assessing the environment is a critical skill to know to be able to mitigate or prevent conflicts. He did highlight how some conflicts in an engineering team are good. These conflicts are conflicts over what's the best method to go about doing something. It can inspire innovation. It also teaches younger engineers the correct thought processes to go through, as the senior engineers are usually right in what needs to be done, but having that discussion between the younger and older engineers is really helpful for younger engineers' development. But he highlighted how personal conflicts, so conflicts that don't have to do with the best way to engineer something, are very bad for the team, and you want to be able to prevent those at all costs. Those kind of conflicts kill team morale. You also need to know who you are talking to at all times and be able to understand exactly what is going on in the team to be an effective leader. If you don't know who you're talking to, you could say something that's going to break their trust in you or make them angry at you. And you also need to know what's going on. If you go into a meeting and you have absolutely zero idea of what's happening, you cannot be an effective leader. And he highlighted how uh, that the ability to quickly distill a situation down into what is vitally important and what matters is the difference between a leader in name and actually an actually effective leader. You need to be able to simplify problems down into their purest form and then be able to communicate that with your team. If you can't do that, you're not going to be able to effectively manage an engineering team. And finally, there's the skill of self-reflection. Jesse highlighted how you need to know what pushes your buttons as a leader. You have to be able to have that self-control when your emotions are going to come into play and be able to take that step back and be like, okay, I know that this aggravates me, but I've got to keep a cool head here. You need to also know what you're good at and what you're bad at. This means that you can then mitigate your deficiencies in your technical skills by surrounding yourself with people who are strong in those areas. You can build a team that can cover your weaknesses so that the team is very strong overall. And also, you should always endeavor to be able to create a collaborative environment where there are multiple viewpoints so that you can hear ideas other than your own. You need to be able to self-reflect and be like, my opinion is not the only one that matters. Engineering, you need to have that collaboration. While you think you might have the best idea ever, somebody else might have an even better one. So you need to be able to hear that. So now that we've gone over what I learned in my interview with Jesse, how will I be able to apply these lessons in my professional career? So, on the topic of building relationships, I'll want to endeavor when I'm a leader or even just in a team to be able to have one-on-one meetings with people, to be able to get to know people a little bit better and figure out what's going on in their lives, become a friend to them. This includes doing small talk and also, if you can, participate in outside of work events with the people. Maybe go to the bar with them if they invite you, or you can invite them. Who knows? You also want to be able to ensure that the team members are receiving all of the training that they're required. That was one of the points that Jesse said. He said if somebody's coming to ask you to go on a training exercise, maybe it's go to a conference or something, a week-long conference even, you should always, if you have the ability to send them on that conference because they'll thank you for it and it will build the skills up that they need. On the topic of assessing the environment, I'll endeavor to keep good notes on meetings. So that makes sure to take your meeting notes, always write down what happened in the meeting, what you went over, what was decided upon. This means you can reference back to that if you need a refresher. You also want to be able to take notice of potential problems in a team. You want to write those down so that you're keeping them fresh in your mind. Identify the team members' personality traits along with their likes and dislikes. You want to be able to know your team. I'll probably have to write that down as I can be a bit forgetful sometimes. And finally, on the topic of self-reflection, I'll endeavor to keep a journal to write down what happened during my day and how that made me feel. While maybe this seems a little bit childish to some people, I think that this is going to be a great way to be able to create a list of my hot button issues along with correctly identifying my skills and weaknesses. This will allow me to be able to grow as both a person and an engineer in the workplace. I also want to be able to ensure that I'm listening to my coworkers at all times to be so that they can listen to me. This is self-reflection because I have to realize that I'm not the only person in the room and other people's opinions matter too. For my critique of the interview process, I didn't really have any problems whatsoever. My interview went really smoothly with Jesse. I had worked with him at Samtech before this. He's their hiring manager for the engineering interns. He's a mechanical engineer himself, but he deals with all the co-ops, so he has a lot of experience in this leadership in this leadership setting. So he had a lot of great advice to give, and he gave me some really great tips. I suppose in the future, the only critique I might have is to provide the example interview questions at the beginning of the process instead of putting them in week 9, because by then I had already done my interview questions, so I didn't get to look at those before I wrote them. So maybe that's something that can be changed next semester, but overall went very smoothly. All right, and that's it. Thank you for listening to my presentation.